I can tell you this. The perception in the market and what people care about on the plant floor couldn't possibly be more different right now. It's the furthest they've ever been apart in my whole career. I'm going to do a poll. So that is, have you been on the concrete side of any of the businesses in the last 30 days? 70% have been on the plant floor. True or false, artificial intelligence is one of the top 3 priorities on the plant floor right now. Okay, that's nearly unanimous. That 98% of us agree that AI is not one of the 3 top priorities on the plant floor.
This video is brought to you by EMQX, the unified MQTT platform for AI and IoT data streaming.
Think of AI as just a new tool that's in your toolbox, but the houses you're building haven't changed. Too many people are making AI the house they're building. Here is a fact, okay? Large language models a decade from now will not even exist. LLMs will not even exist. That is a mathematical certainty. LLMs are not where AI is going. I'm gonna prove that mathematically. Okay. And the reason it's very important I teach this, because if you walk away from this, from a technical lesson, and you don't understand that AI is just a tool to help you do what you do better and faster. Okay. And that it's the means to the end. It's not the end. And you don't understand that large language models this is just a learning phase. Where we are right now. Large language models have hit their ceiling. There is a reason that Jensen, whatever his name is, said in Lex Friedman's podcast, he believes we've achieved AGI. For those of you who don't know what AGI is, okay, AGI is artificial intelligence is indistinguishable from a human being. It is indistinguishable from human intelligence. That's AGI. So you would not be able to know the difference between something a human does over time and something AI does over time. We live in this world where everyone is like, it depends on what your definition of something is. No, we have definitions of words. AGI means that artificial intelligence would be indistinguishable from human intelligence.
Skynet is not self-aware.
I'm telling you that Jensen is lying and he knows it.
Yeah, he's making statements based on his shareholders' interest.
Jensen is lying and he knows it. And I'm gonna tell you how it is I know he's lying. Here's the reality. You know all these data centers that are being built right now? They're all gonna be empty. Listen, I know there are gonna be people on here going, Walker, you're fucking crazy. I want you to point out a prediction I've made in the last 10 years in our industry that was wrong.
We had this conversation yesterday.
Over and over and over again, I will say something and people will be like, Walker, you're crazy here. All I'm doing is I'm just deducing mathematically where we're going. Why are these data centers going to be empty? Because the compute is going to happen on our computers. The compute is mathematically, those of you who believe we've achieved AGI, I want you to tell me why you think that. And I want you to show me the model that is indistinguishable from human intelligence. Show me that model. Let me put it this way, guys. YouTube views across the board are down.
Yep.
LinkedIn engagement has dropped 60% across the entire platform. Okay? Why has that happened? And the answer is content generated by artificial intelligence.
And YouTube is one of the only platforms that makes you declare that it's AI generated.
If we'd achieved AGI, we would see an explosion of engagement on LinkedIn from people using artificial intelligence to post. You would see an explosion because immediately every person who did not know how to write on LinkedIn could suddenly write something that was absolutely passable and valuable to other people.
Yeah.
But that isn't what's happening. What's happening is it's creating excrement.
Yeah.
How many of you go on YouTube and you see that a video is AI generated, and the first 10, the narrator and the video is AI generated, and you drop off the video in 15 seconds? If that was AGI, if it actually mirrored human intelligence, the engagement would explode. This isn't my opinion. It's mathematical. We have not achieved AI or AGI. 20% of the market is using AI. AI is the least popular product or topic in the world. So everything I'm going to talk about here going forward is about how we should actually be using it. This was something that really stood out to me. And I've told this to every vendor. I believe that I was making a controversial statement when I said, I don't know where I would use ignition. Like, I said this in Mastermind, and I was like all worried about saying it because I thought people were going to freak out. And nobody disagreed with me. Not a single person disagreed. Now, I see a place where ignition is valuable. Like in enterprise DevOps, I think that's really valuable. And I think it's really valuable in process control. I think commercial software in our industry is primarily going to live in layer 1, and it's going to live in layer 4 and layer 5. But I think everything that's built in L2 and L3 most of it's going to be custom built using very common rules. I'm going to show you some of those rules, like surface area rules. There's a video I shot a couple of months ago, and it was focus on the problem. That video did not get a lot of engagement. And it's the most important video I shot in the last year. Digital transformation, it's a pathway for solving the problem that you should be having a conversation about. There's been an explosion of digital media in our industry in the last year.
Which is not a bad thing.
Which is a great thing. The bad thing is so many of the people who are doing digital media are failing to ask themselves the very first question. Why should anyone listen to me? Okay? Well, I said this to the folks at Canary Labs. I was like, when you guys shoot content, you shouldn't try to sell. You're a historian. What you should do is demonstrate your expertise by telling stories about all the weird things you've seen customers do over the last 40 years of you selling a historian. Like, what is the thing that Canary Labs has that no one else has? And it's 40 years of experiences of implementing historians. Like, when I met with Fuse, one of the things I told Craig, I said, Craig, you know what you ought to do? You should shoot a bunch of videos complaining about the things your customers do wrong. Like, I know for you, that seems weird. Like, everyone's like, no, you don't do that. Like, only say the nice thing. What the fuck? Like, how many times do you have to see me be a dick before you realize no one gives a shit whether or not you're being nice? They only care if you're nice if you're not in the top 10%. If you're in the top 10%, they care that you're right. They care that you're right.
Exactly what we said yesterday. The people that get offended by the controversial thing you say, you don't want them to be your audience anyway.
Correct. Yeah, correct. A very, very important point. Like, the number of you, I just want to say this, the number of you who have reached out to me and have been like, hey man, I hope you're holding up. If the greatest day in my life is going to be the day when no one follows me, so that I won't feel like I have a responsibility to keep saying the things that I'm saying. I won't feel like I have to have that responsibility. That should be your mentality when you're communicating to your customer, for example. The greatest day for me is the day the customer doesn't need me anymore. It means that I achieved my goal. This is the thing I used to always have the problem with, integrators who want to go deep and stay long. That's like an actual strategy. Okay? No, in fact, if you're really making a difference, your client should eventually not need you 3 to 5 years from now. They shouldn't need you anymore. That means you're doing it right. So when I'm on the plant floor, I have 3 goals on the plant floor. Okay, when I'm walking on the concrete side of the business, the first goal is I want to demonstrate to them that I know what their problems are. Because through my experience, I know they don't take me seriously. They do not give a fuck who I am. This is the flavor of the month. This is a waste of my time. No one in this organization listens to me anyways. My number one goal is to get them to understand I understand their problem. And what is their problem? Their number one problem is that they have an impossible job. The larger the organization they live in, the more bullshit rules they have that their employer wants them to break. The employer wants them to break lockout tagout. The employer wants them to break confined space. The employer wants them to ship products that are outside of spec. They do. They actually want them to do those things. They're just never going to say it. The person on the plant floor knows it, but they can't say it out loud. My job is to explain to them that I understand that the only thing that matters is production. Number two, my job is to demonstrate to them that I'm here to help them. I'm not here to get help from them. I'm here to help them, which means all I'm going to do is ask questions. I have no agenda other than to understand their problem. I don't want to sell them anything. I just want to understand their problem. I don't have a vision in my head on what they should do. I just want to understand their problem. The third thing I want to do is I want to identify the problem they don't see. This is on the plant floor. Then I want to go up one level. I want to go up to the plant level, carpeted side of the business, not with IT. And I want to demonstrate to them that I understand their problem. The plant level problems are different than the concrete side of the business. The plant manager worries about things that are totally different than the people on the plant floor. The buyer worries about things that are totally different than people on the plant floor. The scheduler worries about things that are totally different than the people on the plant floor. So I want to demonstrate to them I understand their problem. I want to demonstrate to them that I'm here to help them. And I want to demonstrate to them I want to see a problem they don't see. And what I want to do is I want to take all the things I learned through those first two sets of conversations, and I want to ask them, the executive leaders, what is your digital strategy? Obviously, all of you agree that digital is important. What is your digital strategy? And when they say they don't have one, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference all the things I learned in part 2 and part 3 with those first two audiences. Here are the problems your operations knows they have. Here are problems I identified they don't know they have. You have to make sure you have a digital strategy that allows us to solve both in a way that interoperates with one another and builds a foundation to solve all your future problems. Those are 3 different sets of conversations with 3 completely different audiences trying to service one goal: common infrastructure upon which to digitally transform an organization. Never start on the carpeted side of the business. If you start on the carpeted side of the business, you're blind to what's happening on the concrete. Your conversation with the carpeted side of the business needs to come after you've identified the problems they are aware of and the ones they're not aware of. So when they start telling you that the business's problems are X, Y, and Z, carpeted side problems, you can say, well, what about A, B, and C? Because this is where your business actually takes place. I was on the plant floor. I saw this. The operator told me that. I saw this thing. Again, that's a results war. That's a results war conversation, not a theoretical battle. If you start on the carpeted side of the business, they control the conversation and you're blind. The Gemba walk is the most important part of the visit.